Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a player like it. One training session was enough to realize he's different. Another day, another Yamal highlight. Now an incredible Trivela assist for Olmo. And at this point, it feels like there isn't a youngest player to insert blank record that Lamine Yamal hasn't taken ownership of. Sometimes it feels like with every passing match, there is a new record to his name, a new milestone, achievement, or comparison. We've been hearing about Lamine Yamal for almost 2 years now. For those like myself, someone who doesn't support a La Liga side, he first popped up on our maps when he was still 15 years old toward the end of the 22-23 season. I said it a couple of months ago and I'll say it again because it shouldn't be a surprise at this point. About 18 months after his debut, he's already one of the best players in the world, based on current form and his placement in the Ballon d'Or's top 10. And yes, he was the youngest ever player to make the top 10. So let's look at his beginnings, how he has improved over the past 18 months, and some statistical comparisons, only for fun, not to suggest anything, okay? Just out of interest. Now, as you can see here, Lamine Yamal is the son of Lionel Messi. Kidding, of course. I'm sure you all know the story of this photo by now, but it provides a unique sort of entry point into speaking of Lamine Yamal's life. This photo was from December of 2007, when Yamal was about 5 months old. Joan Montfort was in charge of a photo shoot for a calendar that would be released as part of a fundraiser for UNICEF and other charities around Catalonia in 2008 in collaboration with Barcelona, and he took these photos. One of the images shows Messi helping Yamal's mother, Sheila Ibana, to bathe baby Lamine. Ibana came from the town of Mataro, which is 40 kilometers northeast of Barcelona, where she lived with the rest of her family. Sheila was a waitress who had emigrated to Spain from Equatorial Guinea, while his father, Munir Nasraoui, was a painter from Morocco. Now, while they split up a few years later, Yamal's mother signed him up for football at Club de Football La Torreta. But of course, it didn't take long for him to get noticed by FC Barcelona, who signed Yamal to their academy. He excelled at La Masia and ran into Messi again, of course. As expected, he was always excelling beyond his own age group, and funnily enough, he was still playing 7-a-side rather than 11-a-side as of 2020. In fact, in December of 2019, La Liga posted this goal from his La Liga Promises tournament, calling him a mini Leo Messi as well. He was 12 years old and he was getting the Messi mentions already. Marca also wrote that he shows shades of Messi. While he played through the age groups of Spain, excelling in those games as well, he first got a sniff of Barcelona's first team in September of 2022 when he was 15 and joined them for training. At this time, Yamal should have been playing at the level called cadet for Barcelona's youth teams, but he was playing with the under-19s, the Juvenil A, which was, of course, 11-a-side. He would eventually make his debut against Real Betis in April of 2023, becoming the youngest player to feature in La Liga for FC Barcelona. Funnily enough, 1 week after that match, he became the youngest player to feature for Barcelona's B team. He played for the first team before playing for the B team, a rare achievement for an academy player. A few months later, in October of 2023, Lamine Yamal was a regular for Xavi and became the youngest ever goal scorer in a La Liga match when he scored against Granada. He was 16 years and 87 days old. That season was bumpy for Barcelona, but Yamal played in 37 out of 38 La Liga matches, as well as appearing in every single one of their Champions League matches. He also finally received his call-up to the Spain national team in September of 2023, and, well, you can guess what happened there as well. Coming on against Georgia in the 44th minute, he managed to break 2 records in that game. The youngest Spanish national team player at 16 years and 57 days, and the youngest ever scorer, both records previously held by his Barcelona teammate Gavi. And you know, speaking of Spain and Georgia, let's jump to the Euros. It's at Euro 2024 where I personally feel like Yamal had gone from a promising kid who's very talented to someone who was more than just a special talent, someone who showed signs of being a top talent for his generation, maybe even in the history of the game, should this trajectory continue. He made you forget that he was just 16 years old, and his Spain teammates were absolutely wowed by him as well. Alvaro Morata said that it took just one training session to buy into the hype surrounding Yamal, telling The Athletic, quote, "He's got a lot of personality and has everything in front of him. Honestly, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a player like it. One training session was enough to realize he's different, that he's one of the phenomena." Yamal featured in each and every Spain match at Euro 2024, starting all but their final group stage match against Albania, where they had already sealed their progress to the next round. He set up Dani Carvajal in their opener against Croatia. That was Carvajal's first goal for Spain, and it was set up brilliantly by a kid who had been on the planet for about half the time that Carvajal had. Then against Georgia, he'd set up Fabian Ruiz in the second half, another beautiful ball to the back post, and that would end up being the match winner. He set up Olmo's opener against Germany in the quarterfinals, and you could see how Spain lost their bite when Yamal was taken off in that match, and it nearly burned Spain and De La Fuente. And then of course, the match against France, where prior to the match, Adrien Rabiot was trying to get into the head of the 16-year-old, saying that he had to, quote, do more, end quote. Well, he did exactly that. Until this match, Yamal hadn't scored a goal at Euro 2024, but he had come close on many occasions. Well, all he had to do was do what he did best, move from right to left onto his favored left foot and strike at goal. You saw how he did that as a 12-year-old with such power, as Yamal's become quite the incredible ball striker, and this was a peach, maybe his best goal to date, at least the most important, right? Spain win 2-1. But something that wasn't missed by this year's Ballon d'Or winner, Rodri, was just how complete his performance was. For a 16-year-old attacker, he isn't just worrying about attack and then walking back to his teammates. No, he's far better than that. As Rodri said, quote, "I am very, very proud of him. People will hold on to the goal, that sudden starring moment from a kid who is 16. And you have to have enormous quality to be able to do that, and doing it in a semi-final speaks to the player he is, the incredible future he has. Very few players can do that, but I hold on to his defensive commitment, the support he gave teammates, how he closed off spaces, the oxygen he gave us, how complete his game was, and I told him that personally. Chapeau." And of course, the final, where Lamine Yamal set up his homie Nico Williams for the opener, helping Spain on their way to conquering Europe, and he only turned 17 the day before the final. In fact, the guy was still doing exams during the tournament, of which he passed those exams, becoming the youngest ever student to I'm joking. No records broken, no academic records that I know of, at least. Just that he's a good boy that didn't let those grades slip, as he slipped past elite defenders. But he was actually integral to the success of his country. In every knockout round match, he contributed with either a goal or an assist. And it's crazy to think that someone who was 16 for the majority of this tournament played such a massive role in the outcome.
I'm looking for a man in football, trainer, 5'10", blue eyes.
I'm sorry guys, I just love that video too much. I have to use it as much as possible, and you will all be subjected to it against your will. Sorry, that's just the way it goes at Rabona TV. Anyway, despite some early doubts as to how Flick would mesh with this group of Barcelona players, and hey, even some questions of how good he was as a coach after what was a disastrous tenure as the German national team head coach, it is absolutely safe to say, at this point at least, that Hansi Flick has been an absolute success thus far. Similarly to how we can't say that Yamal will be a legend for the future yet, how it's too early for that, it's also a bit too early to tie the blue and red ribbons on the La Liga trophy and hail Flick's season as a win. Like Yamal, it's all looking good, but we have to wait here. Wow, garbage truck, very loud outside. But what we have seen is that Yamal has fit into Flick's system brilliantly. With the way he has played over the last year or so, it's not a surprise. He could probably fit into most systems given his raw attributes of speed, control, finesse, work rate, and incredible decision making on the ball. And under Flick, he's also contributing defensively, creating good habits from a young age instead of being a forward that stays forward and relies upon his teammates to do the defensive work for him. But as I was saying, Flick's style is perfect for him as it's very direct, it leaves open spaces for Yamal to run into, and he is never short of the ball either, as the players in midfield, such as Pedri and Casado, have been brilliant in feeding the front line of Rafinha, Lewandowski, and Yamal. And what has it equated to? An unbelievable amount of goals. In just 12 matches, Yamal has already matched his goals and assists from last season in La Liga. In fact, he's just 1 goal and 1 assist short of matching last season's numbers across all 4 competitions, a feat that took him 50 appearances to reach last season. And it's the way in which he is contributing that is also incredible to watch. A weak-footed strike powered into the top corner in the Bernabeu, making him the... Do I even need to say it at this point? you can just assume that he's the youngest to do everything. But yes, the youngest goal scorer in El Clasico history, scoring in the Champions League against Monaco. He became the second youngest scorer in that competition, 4 weeks older than the record holder, Ansu Fati. Then at the end of October, he won the Copa Trophy for the best young player in the world last season. And yes, in case you were wondering, he was the youngest player in history to win this Young Player Award. And so naturally, with all of these achievements, including the 3 goals and 8 assists for his national team, the comparisons to the man who helped give him a bath in 2007 are natural. Yes, I chose Messi's career achievement as helping out Yamal's mom to give Lamine a bath. But of course, I don't need to draw the similarities for you, right? Left-footed, best deployed on the right, coming through La Masia, being the great hope of the club from a young age, and achieving great things at a young age as well, right? It's that last point where the recent comparisons have come in. Now, I gotta preface this before we get into looking at the numbers because it would be pretty irresponsible not to. I'm not the guy that's going to say, wow, he's so good, bet on him to be better than Messi. Just look at these numbers, this means he'll be better. Because that would be ridiculous given the career Messi has had and where he falls in the history of football's greatest players. Yamal himself said of the comparisons to Messi, quote, "I like that they compare me to the greatest player in the history of football, but I want to be myself. Reaching Messi's level is impossible." Rafinha has actually said that Yamal has more similarities to Neymar than he does to Messi, but that's an entirely different video. So here are the stats, okay? Be responsible, be rational with them in the comments, guys. As you can see, Yamal has had way more first team experience than Messi did at this exact age, which by the way, these numbers are accurate as of Monday, November 4th, 2024. Yamal also has a La Liga title win from the 2022-23 season and a major international trophy. And again, let's take these numbers for what they are and not for what they aren't, okay? They are not to say that Yamal will be better than Messi, and they are absolutely not being used to say that Messi was some kind of scrub at this age. They are to show his ridiculous achievements and to highlight just how young he is, Yamal that is, and how much he has already achieved at this age, and to contextualize it by showing that, look, not even a GOAT had a career like this at this age. We are witnessing something remarkable from Lamine Yamal. Now, there are a couple of things that come to mind here. Yamal and Messi were playing in different contexts. Barcelona from 2004 to 2006 was becoming a Champions League winning side. Players like Ronaldinho, Eto'o, Deco, Giuli, Larson, among others, were of course preferred in the starting 11. Yamal's entrance at Barcelona came at a time where the team wasn't exactly at the top of the world, and more opportunities were afforded to him because of that. That's not to diminish his accomplishments at all, because who knows, perhaps his unbelievable skill would have forced Yamal to force his way into that first team. But for my money, I think it would have come at a slightly later age, because if Barcelona have all those great first team players, they don't really have a need to look at this young phenomenon from the academy, right? But hey, it's not Yamal's fault Barcelona wasn't standing as tall as they were in that Ronaldinho era where they were on their way to winning the league, Champions League, etc. He took the opportunities that were handed to them and he ran with them. Now, guessing at hypothetical situations is kind of fun, but ultimately a load of nonsense when you boil it down to its essence. So let's ground ourselves. What can we say definitively about Yamal right now? That at the age of 17, he is one of the last wingers that any defender, no matter their experience, would want to face. We can say that in his current form, he is absolutely not just one of the best young players in the world, but playing like one of the best players in the world, bar none. And we can say that if he continues on this trajectory, if he continues to develop as he has recently, then we will witness a very, very special career unfolding before our eyes. That's it from my end. Be sure to sound off in the comments about your opinion on the career of this 17-year-old crack. I appreciate you watching, and if you enjoyed this one, then drop a like below. It's free. Donate a like to me if you wish. Other than that, thanks once again, guys, and I'll see you in another video soon. Ciao.